Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell, we will be talking yet again about that blizzard potential. It's still there. There has been some changes ever since yesterday's video, so I will be obviously addressing those changes and also showing you the different snowfall amount forecast, where the heaviest may fall. Again, at this point, the system is pretty much guaranteed to occur. It's just the exact strength of it and also where the exact track of it will lie, which obviously dictates where the heavy rain will be, where the severe weather, where the heavy snow. So there's a lot of stuff to cover, but definitely a kind of exciting one, at least from my perspective, right? So yeah, if we before we get into this, if you guys do enjoy these type of videos, you like this channel, it's your first time watching, hello, check out the channel, check out the video, see if you enjoyed. If you do, consider subscribing, consider liking the video. Again, do that at the end. I'm not telling you to do it now, just reminding you. And if you have any comments or concerns, leave them down below. It helps out a ton. Otherwise, let's start talking about this. So yes, this is going to be the first really major winter storm of the year, but actually no, there already was a winter storm, if you recall. It's gonna be the second major winter storm. A bit usually at this point, sometimes we've been 3 or 4 in the years prior winter storm, so it's a bit delayed, but yes, it's gonna kind of I guess unfold a onslaught of winter across the United States. Not only is it obviously gonna bring snow, it's gonna install a very cold weather pattern across much of the United States. This will bring pretty heavy snow in terms of lake effect and clippers, and again potential future snowstorms. So first off, let me show you what the National Weather Service is showing right now across the United States. Notice we do have some watches and warnings across Washington and California. These do call for pretty heavy snow across the mountains, but mainly a rain event for many. And you could see that San Fran, for example, or 1 to 2 inches. That's a pretty good event. Eureka, a 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 an inch. Some rain has already fallen. You can see Lake Tahoe, 1 to 2 inches. Yosemite, 1 to 2 inches. Grass Valley, 1 to 2. So definitely a good event. You could see Sacramento, 1/2 an inch to 1 inch. Definitely not like that bomb cyclone, if you recall, but I mean, it's a good event, and it will continue kind of to chip away at the drought that is across the California area. So that is definitely good. Snowfall forecast, obviously, for the mountains. You could see the highest of the highest elevations, potentially up to 1.5 feet, maybe even some 2 feet plus locations are again very isolated, are possible, but you could see the rest of the mountain areas are not as profound, because it's not really going to be as cold, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But we will continue kind of seeing these systems come into California, and that's a good news. And yeah, we do have winter weather advisories. That's why, because the amounts aren't terribly high, so it's just advisories. We do have some warnings. Look at Seattle, mainly a hydraulic outlook, where I'm assuming that's because of all the rain they've had. So yeah, they're pretty much done with any of their drought concerns at this point. It's more of a a rain concern. Look at this forecast. I mean, looking at that rain. It has a stereotype of being rainy, right, in the Pacific Northwest, and taking a look at this forecast, it's not really a stereotype, it's true. Look at this. I mean, every single day it rain likely. So obviously there's a hydraulic outlook. These areas are used to pretty good amounts of rain, but they're definitely saying that, well, the rivers are going to be rising, so be careful. Also, if any flash flooding does occur, turn around, don't drown, or whatever. With all those precautions, those are very important. And winter storm warning for the high elevation areas. You could see some pretty heavy snowfall totals, probably even higher as in the peaks of the mountains. So that definitely is a good thing. The snowpack will be kind of building there pretty early. No advisories issued here yet, or where that blizzard may be occurring across Minnesota. And again, if you're watching this system, this blizzard, it's going to be occurring across the upper Midwest, not the Northeast. In this case, it's the upper Midwest. But, again, right now the heaviest seems to be north of the border, but whether or not it will kind of continue shifting towards the south, or continue shifting towards the north, or to the east, to the west, it's a bit of an it's unknown, right? So we'll have to see, but I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't say that this is anything that's going to be absolutely massive, but the winds are going to be fierce with this, which is again why I think the blizzard title is pretty well warranted, and I'll show you what the models think. So again, I'll show you the radar, just to show you, zoom in here, that this storm, this is that blizzard, right? I mean, obviously it's not a blizzard yet, but once it makes its way onto the plains through the mountains on Thursday and Wednesday, it will start picking up some blizzard characteristics. But look at that, Eureka, seeing rain. San Francisco starting to pick up some rain showers, and again, this will continue shifting into much of the west, and we'll continue seeing some exciting, I guess, precipitation there. I said exciting because, well, they need it. And again, here is where this blizzard will be occurring. So if you're watching this, it's you know, it's summer. I'm circling a large area, yes, because it's still rather unconfident. I could say though that for cities like Minneapolis, it looks less and less likely for a blizzard, you know, or really any significant snow. Or even for cities like Fargo, some models show 12 inches. Yeah, a lot. Some show really just 3 to 5, kind of from the wraparound. Some, you know, there's a lot of models that center the heaviest around the Thunder Bay, International Falls area, just kind of northwest of Duluth. Let me just stop talking and show you some of these weather models, because there's a lot of stuff we have to cover. But I wanted to show you the radar because, well, that storm is already occurring. So I just show you weather models when I could show you the interactive radar. All right, so you can see there's our system. It moves in, right? And notice that it pretty much looks very weak as it comes out of the mountains. I mean, it's going to be weak. The mountains are going to eat up a lot of it. But by Wednesday in the noon, at the time hour, so this is, again, late Wednesday now that I'm looking at, 6 p.m., so Wednesday evening into overnight Thursday, look how this system intensifies. I mean, it grows very, very quickly, like all systems kind of do that, turn into big blizzards across the plains. You could see the rain or snow line is pretty far to the north, and we do start seeing snow accumulate across, say, Winnipeg, right? Just across maybe Thunder Bay, just northwest of Duluth. International Falls, seeing some decent snowfall from that already. And this is, again, a pretty slow system. Look, so it already has that band. The winds aren't, they are pretty strong, but they really pick up in intensity as this system, you can see, kind of sends that darker plume of blue towards the north. And we will have very strong winds also on the backside, and this could be a blizzard right here. Because folks may be saying, okay, but that's not heavy snow. You don't even need heavy snow for a blizzard, because all it takes is some snow. It doesn't even have to be falling. It could be blowing snow, blowing at 35 miles per hour or greater, creating a certain reduction in visibility. I think it's a fourth mile or less for more than 3 hours, and you have a blizzard. So, whether or not they issue a blizzard warning, we'll see. But it's definitely a good possibility, which is why, again, I'm kind of titling this a blizzard. So this GFS, by the way, model run takes a faster scenario. You can see it kind of whips it out of there pretty quickly, and it does bring some snow for much of Minnesota. Nothing significant, but it's gonna feel wintry for sure. And look at all that lake effect. Boom, it just gets blasted. You can see Michigan, the UP, Erie, Ontario. So that if you live, across much of mainland Michigan, I would say, even into cities like Detroit, you could pick up some lake effect snow. Same thing with the UP, maybe some snow stretching into cities like Green Bay. Very, very impressive lake effect. And notice for the Northeast, it's not a blizzard. It's going to be a rain system, but it's going to be quite a bit of it. Thankfully, quick moving relatively, and still could drop up to an inch, though, of rain. Notice across the northwest, let me just show you this. Look at all that precip continuing to flow in. You can see there's some models. They're starting to show some sort of a clipper system across this weekend, and that's dropping snow for locations like Chicago, maybe, Milwaukee, much of Wisconsin, maybe into portions of Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, into portions of the Northeast. And look, the lake effect is blowing hard. I mean, that thing is turned on to the max for several days. So lake effect will be definitely significant. And look, activity continues of whatever variety and whatever kind. But let me show you the snowfall totals from that first system. But let me take away that clipper so we could just take a look at just the snowstorm kind of amounts. Again, this is just one model run. You can see the GFS centers it pretty far to the north, a foot plus, very heavy amounts, not that much for the United States. Cities bordering Canada will see a lot. Again, probably underdoing the lake effect, because that's what usually long range models do. But look, once that clipper comes through, the lake effect keeps piling on. I think there will be widespread, maybe even a foot amount across portions of northwestern Pennsylvania, Erie and whatnot, New York. Look at the mountainous northwest. Tons of snow from all those systems. But let me show you what the GFS kind of showed 6 hours before this model run and show you the differences. So there's that system across the west, and then it moves out, and look, that snowfall area is still far to the north, kind of where I guess Minneapolis is, or the Midwest. It's gonna be the northern fringes of it, but it's more further to the south, so you can see it trended to the north. But you can see that the snowfall amounts are higher, potentially up to 26, maybe even 30 inches of snow across portions of Canada. And you can see that clipper does also occur just further towards the north, but still that lake effect does bring in the snow, and you can see that the active pattern is most definitely there. Look at that storm. If that were to occur, that would be impressive as heck, that second one. But yeah, so that's the GFS noon model run. Let's take a look at the morning model run. Look what it showed right there across the southern United States. There's some snow again. It can be pretty cold, pretty far down to the south. The coldness of that pattern is still a bit undetermined, but look what it showed in the morning, right? system. Snow, boom, 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 very slow moving. And once it, that wraparound hits the Great Lakes, it starts snowing across Michigan, the UP, and this will be into the weekend. And there's that little clipper. We're kind of following that, which the GFS and most models are now kind of showing it. And then you can see it showed an active pattern. So that's one model. You can see kind of forecasts for targets more of the southern Canada area. Let's take a look at the Canadian. It's a very good model. I do like it. I think it's relatively accurate. Let's see what this one shows. This one has, by the way, for the past few days been showing the system very far to the north. So it's been kind of the outlier, but it's been almost, I could say, it's been almost correct. And look at all that preset moving in, right? That's into tonight, into tomorrow. And again, the timing with all these with all these models is relatively the same. You can see that it is moving on to the plains by, say, late Wednesday. So if you want the timing, pay attention here, because this is where it gets very important. And notice that by Thursday, so late Wednesday, here 6 p.m. November 10th, we start seeing much rain and snow across southern Canada. Rain for much of the United States. So find your location on here. I won't go over every single city. That's just impossible. And as I put this forward into 6 a.m. Thursday, you can see it's raining still across much of the United States, but it is starting to become a kind of a blizzard across much of southern Canada into the Dakotas. Even with some of the light snow, it could still be a blizzard. And look, it slows down that movement. It starts pivoting, and a lot of snow continues across the border into Canada, into the US. This is now late Thursday, 6 p.m. This is now midnight into Friday. And you can see that rain does reach the northeast by Friday during the really 6 a.m. So for your morning commute, yes. So this isn't that far out. It's at the end of this week. It will be occurring already. Really by Wednesday, today it's already occurring across the west, right? So it was far out when I initially started talking about it, but well, we made progress in time. And look at all that lake effect. The lake effect will really start turning on by late Friday into early Saturday. And it goes very strong. That system pulls away. Look at all that lake effect. That is impressive, to say the least. And we do see that clipper. And if that clipper were to occur, it would be on Sunday. Depending on where you live, it would hit the northeast more by Monday of next week. But you can see Canadian takes it much further towards the south than the other models do. The GFS, as you saw, took it down into more of the Chicago area. This one takes it down more into, kind of, what was it, almost a St. Louis area. Yeah, look at that. And it kind of develops into a weak little coastal storm. And the lake effect still goes on, and the Canadian does show more activity. So by no means are we nearing a kind of an end in activity. This pattern will probably stay active. Look at all that lake effect. That is impressive. Obviously, that's snow from the clipper. But let's just go back to that storm system by itself. And you can see the Canadian does target much of southern Canada with very heavy snow. Not as much maybe for the northern United States, but again, we'll have to wait and see whether or not that trend continues, because if I were to show you some models like the high-res NAM 12KM, it shows a lot more snow towards the south. And this model has been right before in terms of its trend. I remember last year there was a system, and we were about 60 hours out, so even less than this system's occurrence. And the NAM, I remember, took a more northern scenario to the storm. It was an outlier, but throughout the day, I remember the models kind of started catching up to the NAM, and the NAM was, if you will, the trend creator. So, this would obviously produce a lot more snow for even, say, like Iowa, South Dakota. I would say this is a pretty extreme scenario for the kind of as far south as it probably will be. But again, I mean, it may occur. It's hard to say whether or not it will. You could see that, for example, the RGM, the Canadian high-res, does bring that system a bit further towards the south, even though the Canadian itself brings that system further towards the north, right? It dropped a very heavy snow across Ontario. Look at this one. Drops a lot of snow into Minnesota, into the Dakotas, into just north of the Canadian border. And, I do forecast for Canada as well, so that's why I'm making this video, as I normally would. Just because it crosses over the border, the weather doesn't just magically stop, right? And notice that cold front does stay mainly as a rain event for much of the United States. And obviously, come Saturday, that lake effect would turn on once it's wrapped around kind of, and that cold air hits the warm waters of all the lakes. So, again, we are starting to see some of those high-res models come in. Not all, but we will in the near future, so that's definitely going to be helping us out. This is another one that I'm looking forward to kind of seeing an update. It's only up to 60 hours, but you can see it definitely shows that system. And you can see quite a bit of severe weather, gusty thunderstorms across the mid-portion of the United States. And I want to show you now the European. So this is also a very, very good model. And let me show you where it's, again, what it shows. So you can see the system tracks to the Midwest. There's that rain. Again, the timing's the same. I already went over the timing. For the best details, go to your local National Weather Service. They will be kind of timing that out very precisely. And notice that there's that cold front, there's that snow system. You can see the European not as far north as a Canadian. Even I think it's further south than the GFS also. And look, it drops a lot of heavy snow. Decent wraparound. That could be, light to moderate snow occurring with extremely gusty winds. Again, those blizzard conditions occurring. Cold front converting into rain. And look, we do have cold front converting into snow as it hits, kind of central Ontario and Quebec. But notice a lot of rain for the northeast. Once that cold air hits the lakes, the lake effect does get turned on. The European probably underrepresenting that. But look, there's a European showing that Clipper system. Look, boom, right there through a lot of cities like, Madison, Milwaukee in Wisconsin, Minneapolis, the Twin Cities, maybe Pierre, South Dakota, Bismarck, Chicago, Indianapolis, and into Ohio, seeing some sort of wintry precip, maybe more of a rain mixture. You can see that the European develops it into kind of a stronger system as it moves off the coast, which is a possibility. And then look, another system moving in onto the northwest. What will happen with that one, we'll have to wait and see, but it's definitely looking exciting. So a lot of activity, folks. This is definitely something that we'll have to keep an eye on for. And so if you live again in this area, be prepared for a wintry mess. Again, the heaviest seems to stay north of the border, but right by the border, I'll say within 100 miles south of the border, expect several inches of snow, especially in Minnesota and kind of around the Thunder Bay area. And anywhere even further south across Minneapolis, you could get up to an inch, maybe 2 inches of wraparound snow and what's not, especially if a scenario like the NAM 12 km were to come true, which again, as you saw, as I showed you, it develops a much more southern scenario, which wow, this is actually interesting because look, I'm showing you the noon model run of the NAM, right? And you can see it was much further towards the north, kind of like the other ones. But the evening one, which was the one I showed you, takes it much further towards the south. So this is kind of a really recent update from the NAM. That's interesting. So see, you can see that maybe it's a trend. We'll start seeing a more southern scenario now. Because for the past 24 hours, it has shifted towards the north. The models kind of shifted to the north. So we'll have to wait and see. But for now, again, it's still a bit undecided where the heaviest of that will fall. The National Weather Service snowfall forecast, this is what it calls for. Again, conservative because it's so far out. If the NAM 12 km were to come true, these areas would see up to a foot and a half. If the European comes true, these will see, maybe up to 7 or 8 inches, which the National Weather Service will still continue adding these amounts up. Look at the northwest also and west, decent amounts of snow. I could show you some of the ensembles, which I kind of want to, but I don't have that much time. But in terms of not like my time, but I just don't want to make this video too long. But let me show you 5-day snowfall for this storm system to get a good grip of kind of what many are showing. So these are 51 weather models, and let me just run through all of them. Let me just let's see if I can just play them. No, I can't, because that just plays the 3 or for an individual model. I want to see if I can play all. Okay, whatever. I'll just click through it. So notice there's some scenarios like this that bring decent snow even into northwest Iowa, and then there's some that keep it just into southern Canada. But oh boy, they drop a lot there. And look at that one, similar to that one. Look at this one. This one's further towards the south with that heavy snow into say Grand Forks area. That one's more towards the west. Look at that one. I mean, there's still a lot of variance. We'll have to wait and see on exactly what will result of this. And definitely you can see this one, the Twin Cities could pick up 4 inches with that scenario, but obviously the heaviest falling kind of to the north and west. This one, Twin Cities wouldn't. Right, so I'm just kind of giving you an example. Again, I'm just not really going to be talking about any specific ones. I'm just kind of trying to show you that it's not all concrete, right? It's not that, every single one shows this or that. It's, it's kind of all over the place still. I wouldn't say, it's definitely not anything unusual. It's still 80 hours out, so this type of variation is still expected, and you can see that some of the models, if a scenario like this were to occur, it's much more into the United States. This one is more into Canada, still affecting a lot of people. Winnipeg is almost a city of 800,000 folks. So definitely impressive. And then there's still some models that don't really show a system at all. In regards to this system, there's still some details, right? Whether or not it's more of a NAM scenario or the European scenario or the Canadian. But if I were to make a kind of main takeaways, I hope you're listening because this is probably important. And it's probably the best kind of way I could put it in a brief period of time of talking. So I would say anywhere in this area, I would say that you could expect, I would say snow of, I would say maybe like 2 to 3 inches. Again, it gets pretty fuzzy down here because of that wraparound. It may not reach these areas. Same with, western portions of the Dakotas. But here, I think it's very likely that these areas will pick up a very good amount of snow, like 6 to 12, maybe even higher. With some of the scenarios, this could shift again further towards the south and north, and then this boundary will kind of respectively shift with that same amount. And then there will be snow across these areas, but it won't be really as accumulating, at least, that aren't by the lakes. So like central Wisconsin, you could pick up a trace or maybe even up to an inch, but right by the lakes, it could be, several inches, maybe even 3 to 5 in some of these bands, like the typical lake effect affected areas. But yeah, definitely a big storm. Still, relative uncertainty is rather high, and you can see as with that NAM 12 look at that one. That's a pretty far southern scenario. We'll have to see what it does in the evening hours, whether or not it keeps that consistency. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya. Bye.